Let's talk about all of this with our panel. Mae Melman, the Republican strategist, a former Trump White House associate counsel. Kurt Bardella is with us. Kurt, now a Democratic strategist, LA Times contributor. So welcome both. I don't know that this is the birthday present, right, that the president was looking for. I'll let you take it on there first, Kurt. These poll numbers are rough, and he's got some issues, especially with the younger voters. You see those 18 to 34 numbers?
I did. And again, there's no denying the polls aren't good. And let's just be very clear here. They're not going to be good. I mean, we are at a point now where voters understand both whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump, both have historically high unapproval ratings, disapproval ratings. And that's just going to be the case going forward. What really matters, the only metric I think that actually matters, is the poll that's conducted on election day. And what we have seen in recent elections is that despite the president's approval ratings, Democrats are thriving. Democrats are winning in places like Virginia. They're winning ballot initiatives in places like Ohio. They're taking back states that really shouldn't even be in play right now, but they're succeeding. Look at Kentucky. It's as red as it gets there, and a Democrat governor got reelected there. So it should be very concerning to Republicans that with an economy that voters aren't really feeling good about, with a president with historically high disapproval ratings, that they can't get the job done and they can't win.
But he does have an issue, again, on one big issue, which is the war, foreign policy, and one big group, younger voters, which is a key constituency. So let me just put up a few of these from the NBC poll on his handling of foreign policy, okay? President Biden handling of foreign policy, 33% approve. That's down 8% from September. 62% disapprove, up 9% from September. Then let's go with young voters, but in the head-to-head matchup with Trump, we looked earlier at his young voter numbers, which are brutal, but 18 to 34 in Biden versus Trump, it's Trump 46 and Biden 42, made with young voters, which is not, you wouldn't think, a constituency for any Republican, but especially Donald Trump. And here he is ahead of Biden. These young voters, the question would be for me, all right, it's one thing if you don't approve of President Biden, but are you actually going to vote for Donald Trump instead? And according to that poll, some would. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it's a good question. So a lot of Biden's unpopularity on his foreign policy actually just mirrors his general unpopularity. So yes, it's a 33% approval rating, but he's, 38% on the economy. He's 40% generally. So it's hard to say whether this is really driven by his approach to Israel or whether it is sort of reflective of people's dislike of Biden generally. And then with young voters, they're basically exactly the same. They, have a 30% approval rating of Biden and similar for his foreign policy. But they care about the economy. They can't afford anything. They can't afford rent. They feel irritated about their student loans. They just don't have a good sense of their future. Versus the sense on the economy during the Trump years. Of course, a lot of these students, young people maybe didn't vote or were too young to vote. But there is a sense, because it is actuality, that financially people were better off. And that primarily affects young people.
That's interesting, because if you're right, that helps Trump in a big way if they're doing it on the economy. If they're just angry about the war, and maybe they stay home, but I doubt that they move over to Trump. Have you heard, for example, Kurt, I don't know that she's the measure of what every young person thinks in the country, but Cardi B is getting a lot of attention for comments like this. Take a listen.
Yeah, Joe Biden's talking about, we could fund 2 wars. We could fund 2 wars. Talking about we don't got it, but we got it. Like, we're the greatest nation. No, we're not. We're going through right now. Say it. Say it. We're really going through, we really are right now.
So there you go, Kurt. Tough to argue with that or even to respond to it, but you can give it your best shot.
I believe in the old adage, you never argue with a drunk or a fool. And all due respect to Cardi B, I don't give a crap what she thinks about funding the war in Ukraine or Israel. That's just what expertise does she have to talk about any of those things? She clearly doesn't understand how budgeting works, by the way, since the defense budget, non-discretionary spending, 2 very different things. It doesn't work like if you don't fund one, you take money from that pot and then put it over here. That's not how the budget process works. I would not expect Cardi B to understand or know about that. So I give no mind to what she's talking about, because I don't think anyone really cares.
Well, you know what? Isn't it, as a final point, I give this to you, Mae, aren't there a lot of people that vote in elections and don't necessarily know how the funding process works in Washington, but they just have emotions and they just see something in the news or on TV and they feel a certain way about it. And right now, a lot of young people do not feel good about this war effort, and it's hurting the president politically, for what it's worth. But Mae, final word on all this.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a lot of people. I'd say basically everybody, right? Elections are primarily emotional decisions, even though they should be factual ones. This is, I think, why Vivek weirdly wants to raise the voting age until your brain has fully developed. But it doesn't even matter because people vote with their emotions. And emotionally, I think the Democrats have abortion, but then Republicans have your life is worse now. And so which do you want? Do you want a better life or do you want, more abortions? And maybe that will be the emotional battle of 2024.
Right. And I
Well,
noticed
the
that
elections so far have shown us that people want autonomy over their own bodies more than they care about any of the other issues.
in the past few cycles, it's certainly driven Democrats to the polls. Whether it does next year remains to be seen. But notice May going back to the economy, which says a lot about the Republican messaging, I think, as opposed to the war, where they obviously agree with the president, but a lot of the young voters in the Democratic side do not. So it's interesting dynamics. Thanks to you both. Good panel today. As